Hey everybody, Katie Sutton here, intuitive channel and founder of Zen Within Academy and the New Earth Now School with your June 2025 energy update. I've got 3 themes that I want to share with you this month. I will say that this month is a little bit of an interesting energy because we're going to pause before we move into what I think is going to be a lot of change in the month of July. So let's dive in. The first theme that I want to share with you is balance and realignment. In this theme, I think that you all are going to be looking at the different houses of your life. So typically I break down our life into different houses, one being our spiritual practices and our spiritual connection, one being our health and our well-being, another being our relationships, another is career and purpose. As we break down and look across all of the parts of our lives, I think there's going to be some reevaluation this month and looking at what doesn't work and what doesn't fit, and some subtle changes or realignments or decisions that you might come to this month of some places where you want to create change, you want to let some things go. It's going to be this awareness of, hey, this doesn't quite fit, this isn't quite working, I want to make a change. Maybe you don't even know exactly what change you want to make yet, you just come to the awareness that something isn't in alignment and you start to think about what it would look like to let that go and bring something new in. It's a little bit of a pause between the breath this month in June where we're just taking the time to clean up our house and get some things in order so that when we get to July, where there's going to be a big influx of new energy coming in after summer solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're going to be prepared and have created some space to receive that new energy. This might also practically look like you going through a little bit of a purge in your physical space as well. This might be one of those months where you're just tidying up loose ends, you're getting some outstanding tasks completed, you're finishing some things up, and you're really making some space to welcome in the new. And if you've been feeling really stuck or feeling like you don't know which way to move, it may not be the month to take that next step and move forward, but there might be a lot of preparation work happening. I also think that some of you are going to be going through a rebalancing in your energy fields where maybe something in one of these houses, like maybe in your health house, has gotten really out of balance, and you're like, okay, this is the month where I'm going to clean up my diet, or I'm going to get some things together that are going to make me feel better so that I can have the energy that I need to move forward. If it's in your relationship house, you might be doing some work on your communication and really speaking your needs and speaking your truth and realigning some boundaries this month. So think of this first theme as tidying up anything that's out of order. Now let's move into the second theme. So the second theme is releasing limitations and illusions. And this is a very mental body energy this month where we're going to be looking at any stories that we're telling ourselves that are limiting us in being able to move forward with the things that really matter to us. I think we're going to be breaking down some illusions this month where maybe we have been operating in a specific paradigm in the way that we've created our reality, and we're realizing that's just not my truth anymore. That just doesn't work for me. We're going to have some space, since it's a little bit of a pause month, to have some ahas and some downloads come in and some clarity come through of, yeah, this belief or this way of operating, this operating system that I've been working with is just not working for me anymore, and I'm ready to let it go. Now, you might not be fully to the place of letting it go yet in the month of June. I think that's going to actually come in July. But those limiting beliefs or those places where we've kept ourselves small are going to start to just fall apart in the month of June. And you might see this reflected back in the way you're observing how other people are creating. You might realize that you're mirroring someone around you and seeing that they're limiting themselves and calling them out on that, and then realizing at the same time that you're also limiting your truth as well. And when we're working on illusion energy, there's normally something that comes up in the collective where a house of cards starts to break down. I don't know what that's going to look like at the top of the house. I'm sure it's going to be something in our political landscape and probably something in our celebrity world as well, where we get a lot of our shadow reflected back to us. But I do think some things are going to fall apart in the month of June. We're going to start to maybe see some people or some things clearly and start to realize that the way that they've been operating isn't actually authentic. We're going to start to see some other illusions in people around us starting to break down, where people have been operating in a place of inauthentic expression, or where they have been maybe dimming their light or trying to hide a part of themselves. I think a lot of that's going to come to the surface this month. So pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourself and how you're limiting your expression this month. This might show up as some throat chakra stuff. We did a lot of work on the heart chakra last month and a lot of work on being able to express ourselves in our divine light last month. And so anything that isn't in alignment with our truth is going to come to the surface to be released. And your job when these things are coming forward is to try not to get wrapped up in the story or maybe berating yourself for operating in this false paradigm for so long, and just bring in some awareness and some curiosity. It says, wow, I have really been limiting myself to a great degree. I wonder why I was doing that. I wonder why I didn't think that I was worthy of having more, and get really curious about the why. And as you identify some of those whys, just really doing the inner work to love those parts of yourselves that have felt unworthy of operating in that full expression. And as these limiting beliefs and these kind of illusions start to break down, I think you're going to start to see some new opportunities or some new pathways, some new timelines, some new ways of creating beginning to open up, and you're going to start to welcome those forward. You may not be ready to take action on them yet. This may not be a big action month just yet, at least not at the beginning of the month, but you will start to see those new timelines coming forward and start getting excited about them and getting some momentum going. And that takes me to our third theme, which I think is going to be a big focus in our healing circle on June 11th at 7 p.m. We're going to work on all of these, but this third one feels important because I keep having a lot of teachings in the astral space with my guides about this particular one. It's called Creating Your Own Reality. And so this month we're going to get some kind of in-our-face awareness of how we are creating a certain reality for ourselves. I had an experience recently with a client who was just stuck in a negative loop. And when I started to point out all of the ways that she was limiting her expression through her thought patterns and through her belief systems, she said, do you think that I'm creating these difficult circumstances because of the way that I'm looking at the world? And I said, yeah, absolutely. When we have a belief that something is going to go in the negative, or we have a fear, or we have a thought process that says, hey, this isn't going to work out for me, more than likely that's the reality that we're going to create. And the other night in the dream space, the guides were showing me how we are all creating our own individual reality. And in that, we have places where we're bumping into other people's reality. And in that overlap, we have this friction energy. And that friction is where we have our soul contracts with one another of the lessons that we're learning. So in this theme of creating your own reality, there's going to be an awareness of how strongly you are or are not operating in your truth when you're out creating in the world. And I believe that one of the ways that this is going to show up is you starting to notice that there are other options for you that you could be taking that you didn't have awareness of before. So this is those timelines coming forward and starting to say, what do I need to do, or how can I get in better alignment to receive that other possible reality that I would like to create for myself? So part of creating our own reality is having the awareness of what's possible and putting those ideas and thought processes out into the world, and then doing the work to get ourselves in alignment with receiving that in real time. So that incongruency between what we want to happen and what we believe we can have versus where we're operating in our current belief system now is what we're going to be working on in this third theme as well. So when you're thinking about how you want to, let's say, create a new relationship for yourself, or create a new job for yourself, or maybe you have a desire to bring in something new like a new home, and you're looking at the way that you've created in the past and the things that have worked for you, I think this month you're going to start to see an expanded toolkit that you're going to be able to work with, where you start to realize, gosh, I don't have to operate in just this limited paradigm anymore. I have access to creating this in a whole new way, and maybe it can be even easier than I imagined. I also also think with this third theme of creating your own reality, a lot of you are going to be releasing some struggle energy that is really old. Maybe you've been carrying some struggle programs from many different lifetimes, and there's this belief that in order to create something new, it has to be really hard. And this is an up-leveling energy, because in July, we're going to have a lot of astrological things that are going to stir a whole bunch of energy up, a lot of new frequencies coming online. And so this month you're preparing to up level in all the houses of your life, and just being willing to say, I'm going to be fearless in creating anything that I think is in alignment for me, even if there are some beliefs or some stories that say that I can't, or maybe somebody outside of me is telling me that I can't create that. I'm going to trust myself enough to know that if something is really important for me and there's something that I really want to call into my experience, I can create that reality. I can move forward. This is a big theme for us this month. I think that some of you are going to realize that you are not happy in some of the areas of your life, and that there are places that you're just not satisfied, and you're going to really bring that forward this month and decide that you want to make some change and realize that you can make the change. And I think that's the big key with this theme, because I think a lot of you have been telling yourselves stories that you can't create a new reality for yourself, that this is as good as it gets. Guess what? It is not. We are in the process, as we move into the back half of 2025, of creating in so many brand new ways as a collective. There are so many new options and new possibilities coming online in each and every moment. And so it's time that we begin to tap into that new energy and tap into those new possibilities for ourselves. And again, we might see this reflected in the collective, where there's some new inventions, some new discoveries, maybe some medical discoveries, maybe some other discoveries that come online that open up a whole new world of possibility that we were not aware of before. As we tap into this energy of creating our own reality, I want you to pay special attention to where you're just calibrating to the way that you've always done things, and be open to doing some things differently. And I know sometimes change is really scary. I know sometimes when we think about creating a whole new beginning for ourselves or stepping into a whole new timeline, we have fears of letting go. We have fears of leaving people behind or having no one to walk on that journey with us. Do your best not to tap into the fear energy this month, and to stay in the excitement of the new possibilities and be welcoming those in. I think June is an exciting time of preparation, an exciting time of realignment, a time where we're going to really work on getting our houses in order, so that as we step into July and bring in some of these big energies, that we are prepared and we are ready and we are in balance to be able to move forward. So just notice what comes up this month. Be very gentle with yourselves, and be in that place of curiosity, and really using a fine-tooth comb to go through all of the different parts of your life and say, hey, what is working for me and what isn't? And be willing and open to allow new ideas to come forth, okay? I know sometimes when we're in Gemini season, we get a little bit stuck in our heads. So you might also this month need to work on getting grounded back into your bodies, doing some realignment work in your chakra system, some basic energy hygiene stuff, and getting your health in order so that you can get grounded and make that space for these new beginnings coming in at the end of June and the beginning of July. So do all of the due diligence you can this month to prepare. Take good care of yourselves. Make sure you get out in nature. Make sure you get grounded. And we'll see what this month brings. All right. Have a great month, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.